Hello? Yeah, I'm good. I'm just sorting out some preseason plans. I hear we've got more transfer bids. Are these things ever going to stop? Yep, okay, so run me through them. What do we got? Offers for all our centre backs? Just we're not selling any of our centre backs. Apart from maybe him, yeah, that would be a problem if his release clause has been triggered. Let's hope he chooses to stay with us because we have just offered him a contract. So let's just hope that Elias chooses to stay. 900,000 for him? I mean, he did turn down becoming Icelandic, so we may as well sell him. He's not going to be in our plans for next season. 3.2 million. Yep, get him out, get him out. And that's it. Okay, cool. So I can get back to preseason training. Awesome. Yep, I'll start focusing on Troyes. Yeah, hopefully it stops. There's been just a ridiculous amount of bids coming. I'm getting tired. I'm getting sick of all this transfer stuff. I haven't even done any signings yet. Okay, let me know what happens. Yeah, and let's just hope that Elias stays. Okay, see you later, mate. Bye. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 114 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode we have the first leg of our first knockout round tie against Troyes, as well as some transfers, the players that we have sold since you were last here when we did finish off the group stages of the Champions League. So if you are looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But we have gone forward 3 months since the end of yesterday's episode where we did finish off the group stages of the Champions League. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. We are just going to play the first league in today's episode just so I don't have to cram too much, because I'm not too sure if I'll be able to get through the second knockout round of a tie if we did make it past Troyes in this first knockout round. So we'll split the leagues for this first knockout round and hopefully come back at the start of next week and get back into the usual swing of things with both legs of the ties if we do progress in this competition. But before we do have a look at our opposition in today's episode, in Troyes, we have sold a few players. The domestic transfer window hasn't quite opened up yet, but we have still let a few players go and also had a bit of other funny stuff go on in the transfer window so far in terms of outgoings. First off, we're going to cover off the players who have actually left the club. First off, we have a young English midfielder who never really got much game time here at the club when we did pick him up on a free transfer a few seasons ago. This is Ozzy Robinson. We have sold him to Newport County for £72,000, could rise up to £90,000. As I said, a player who we did sign on a free transfer, so we make a little bit of money off him despite him not having played for the club much at all, if at all. He might have appeared in the odd cup game here and there, but he's been out on loan for most of his time here at Völsungur. Didn't quite have the potential after a few seasons out on loan, so we decided to part with him, being £72,000 here for Ozzy Robinson. And then we get to a few more bigger names over this save so far. This is the biggest one, no doubt, a real stalwart of the club in this save so far, especially since we've been in European football. We have sold Hans Nicolucci Caviglia. He is still Italian. He had the option to become Icelandic, chose not to do so as he apparently saw no benefit of doing that, so there was no real point of keeping him around the club for that regard now anyway, and his potential had gone down to 2.5 stars, his ability down to 2 stars. He was very good for us over the long time that he was here at the club, but a good bid came in from some MLS teams, and in the end he chose to go to Inter Miami for £900,000. Not a bad price there for a 30-year-old midfielder, even though he was still performing very well for the rotation team over the past season. But you look there at his stats since he did join us on a free transfer back in 2023, a model of consistency. He was a brilliant box-to-box midfielder for us, but it was time to move him on, being 30 years old, and we have sold Hans Nicolucci Caviglia to Inter Miami in the MLS after a very good stint here at the club. Probably the most notable player that we did get on that bunch of free transfers back in 2023. And we've also got a sale for another Italian midfielder, but this one was for a lot more money, and that one was Maurizio Goffi. We have sold him to Hellas Verona for £3.2 million. Obviously, he's valued a lot more than that now that he is in Serie A, but for another player that we did pick up on a free transfer, that is a very good deal. Again, his potential wasn't quite where we would like it for a player down in the backup team. It had dropped to 2.5-star goal potential as well as current ability, so I did feel like it was a good time to let Maurizio Goffi go. We signed him, as I said, on a free transfer a few seasons ago. Back in 2027 was good when he did appear in the team for us, mostly domestically, I think it is fair to say, and he had a good run in the first team as well. I think that year that we did make the Europa League final, he came in for Porstein Anderson late in our run to that final, where we did lose to Liverpool, but a good option for us. But as I said, his potential was going down, and in the end, £3.2 million was too good of an offer to turn down. So Maurizio Goffi has also left us. That probably means in this upcoming transfer window, once it opens, we are now going to have to look for an extra midfielder. We do have the likes of Nathaniel Satole still at the club. He can work his way back into the backup team mix, and we've also got some youngsters coming through from our past youth intakes who we could also promote, but I think it would be good if we could sign a good young midfielder just to come and boost that backup team as well, because we've got a few players in that backup team at the moment who kind of have to stay at the club because they're homegrown nation or homegrown club and very useful for European registration, but we could certainly maybe fit one more in there who could work their way into the first team over the next couple of years. But those are the main sales that we have made prior to the transfer window opening here in Iceland. What has also gone on over that time since the end of yesterday's episode, we have had a lot of interest in all of our centre-backs here at the club. If we go look at the squad and list this in positional order, likes of DePrisco, Ramadan, Anderson, and Thiago Polo have all been targets of some very big clubs, the likes of Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid. There have been some big bids in for these guys. We've been able to reject them all without upsetting them too much. There was a little bit of an interesting one, though, with Elias Anderson. We, of course, only signed this guy midway through last season before this current European cycle did get underway. There was a £15 million release clause in his contract from that, and RB Leipzig did trigger that. So we were a little bit unsure if Elias Anderson would stay with us. Luckily, just before that, RB Leipzig put in a bid of £14.75 million, so we could sort of see it coming, and because of that, we did offer him a new contract without that release clause. And thankfully, despite RB Leipzig coming in after that and triggering his release clause, Elias Anderson did decide to stay at the club. Obviously, $15 million sounds like a great price for a player that we would have only had here for less than a year, but countering that somewhat, he does have a sell-on fee as part of his contract. To get him here, we had to give him 50% of the sell-on fee, so in the end, we wouldn't have actually made too much money out of that deal, only about 7.5 million, which we could have reinvested somewhere, but it's a lot better to keep him if those are the bids coming in for now. But Elias Anderson did decide to stay instead of going to RB Leipzig, which was quite nice considering RB Leipzig are, of course, in the knockouts of the Champions League this season, while we are down in the knockouts of the Europa League. But it has been a very eventful transfer period so far in 2031, and we haven't even opened up the domestic window, so have not been able to do any additions just yet. We will do some of those in tomorrow's episode, where we get into the second leg of this first knockout round tie in the Europa League against Troy Is. But in terms of our preseason, we've only played a few competitive games in the Dirdabakar since we did beat Partizan and RB Leipzig. In yesterday's episode, a lot of fairly comfortable friendly wins. We started to win by lesser margins later on in the preseason when we did take on some stronger opposition, but so far in the Dirdabakar, we have hit the ground running very nicely. A 6-0 win there against Akranes for our first team. Most of those players will play in this first league today against Troy Is, and off the back of that, our rotation team picked up a 5-1 win away from Reykjavik. So we have hit the ground running. Hopefully we can continue to do that as we do enter the first knockout round of the Europa League. We are taking on Troy Is, a team not too familiar with Europe, but we do need to respect them because, of course, they are from League O, so from one of the top 5 leagues. But you look at that team there, there's a few aging names in there, the likes of Lingley, Fofana, and I've also got Anthony Martial on their books as well. So they're a team that does look quite aging. Hopefully we can make the most of that. And if we go and have a look at our scout report on these guys, if I can find it, there aren't a great deal of strengths for these guys, but quite a few weaknesses. I've seen this be more lopsided with some teams domestically. So this should really be a team that we are capable of beating over 2 legs. Hopefully that is the case, albeit they do currently find themselves in a European spot, albeit I think it's a Conference League spot at the moment in League O, but they are doing a decent job in 5th. So as I said, we certainly need to respect these guys, but I'd like to think, based on that scout report and the fact they do have some quite old players in their starting lineup there that I think this is a team that hopefully we will be capable of beating over 2 legs in today's episode, while also keeping somewhat of an eye out on some of the other ties in this first knockout round. Of course, we won't be meeting any of these teams until the quarterfinals if we do make it that far, because if we get past this, we will take on a team who did top their group in the Europa League, and you were seeing who topped the groups when we ran through the results from the Europa League group stage in yesterday's episode. But I think that covers off everything that we need to before we do get into the game. In today's episode, the first leg of this first knockout round tie in the Europa League is in France, and we'll come back shortly and hopefully get off to a good start here in the knockouts of the Europa League. And here are the team sheets for this one. There is that Troyes lineup. It's pretty similar to what we did see before on the Club Info page. As I said, quite an old, experienced team. Hopefully, we have the freshness, the pace, and hopefully the youthful exuberance over these guys. As I said, we come into this in very good form, putting out our best 11 with a few changes on the bench. Tole is now our backup midfielder after those sales that we did make, and hopefully we can get off to a good start here away from home in the first knockout round. And we do have a very early highlight here in this one. In France, we are in our all-white today. Troyes are in the navy blue, and we start to make a good start here. Rubio, nice ball for Zimmerman, comes off the upright, great chance to go 1-0 up early. It remains 0-0 after 5 minutes. And now up to the 7-minute mark, we do have a free kick here for Troyes, as I can see behind my head. Sevilla are already destroying Shakhtar Donetsk there in their tie. That's a good slide tackle there. I couldn't quite catch who that was. It might have been John Matthews, but nonetheless, we do get the ball back. In fact, it's Alejandro Meza. I had the wrong side there, but we might have a chance here potentially on the counter-attack after that good early 1-2. Nicholas Zimmerman, which did come off the upright. Another chance for him here, albeit I think he might be offside. He does bury this into the bottom right corner, but he might have put the wrong chance away here, I do suggest, because that did look just a little bit too good to be true. We might go 1-0 up here, nice and early away from home, but as we suspected, that goal has been disallowed for offside. Did look like he was a good stride or two offside there, but early on, very encouraging signs. Actually not as far offside as I thought, but it does remain 0-0 here, approaching the 10-minute mark. And up to the 14-minute mark now, we have a corner. Rakasan, near post, Bassero guy just over the bar. We are certainly dominating this so far, but no reward just yet. 0-0 still, coming up to the 20-minute mark. And now up to the 25-minute mark, we are still absolutely dominating this game stats-wise and based on the highlights that we have seen so far, but we're going to need some reward for that soon. Otherwise, things could get very interesting going back home in tomorrow's episode for that second leg, but we are playing well so far. Nice ball over there for Benjamin Rubio. Finally, he does a well-weighted chip, and that goal will stand. And after a lot of pressure we've been putting on Troyes to start off this game, we go 1-0 up after 25 minutes, and I think it's fair to say, based on the highlights that we have seen, that has been coming. It's another assist there for Kalen Rakasan. Well-timed chip there from Benjamin Rubio. 1-0 Völsungur, just shy of the half-hour mark. And we go forward to the 38-minute mark for our next highlight. A good interception there from Karel Giroux, and we might get something going here on the counter-attack again as Frederick Larsen makes his way down the left-hand side, plays that back to Alejandro Meza, having a very good game today, as are both of our wing-backs, which is very nice to see indeed, a position we've been struggling with for the most part. Another chance there for Nicholas Zimmerman. This time it will stand. He is onside. Bassero Gay with the assist, and the Frenchman will pick up a goal in his home nation and make it 2-0 not too long before halftime. It's been a very good half from us so far. Rakasan plays this back to the Senegalese defensive midfielder. Nice ball there. Just gets it past the goalkeeper at his near post. 2-0 Völsungur, just shy of the 40-minute mark. And that is halftime in the first leg of this first knockout round tie in the Europa League. And we have looked very, very good so far, absolutely dominating our league opposition so far, 2-0 up. And I think that's a fair scoreline based on the highlights that we have seen. We'll leave everyone out there at the moment because very happy with how this is going and see if we can extend that lead, hopefully, in the second half before we go home to Iceland for the second leg in tomorrow's episode. And not too long into the second half, we do have our first highlight of it. Is a throw-in here for Troyes as they try and get something going here, as they are inside our half for probably the first time in this game that we have seen since that good slide tackle from Alejandro Meza to block a shot earlier. And there's another great one, that time from Elias Anderson. Good to see him getting stuck in off the back of that little to and fro between us and RB Leipzig for his services. We'll see if anything comes from the subsequent corner. It doesn't. Will Lurvik takes that nicely. Still 2-0 early in the second half. And up to the hour mark, we are going to make some substitutions here. I think we have this game fairly well under control. We'll bring Ali Ramadan on for Thiago Polo. Of course, he's still on a yellow card from the Champions League. And Frederick Larsson not doing badly, but only going okay out there on a 6.7. We will bring Chaka Traore on for him, and we'll see if anything does come from this highlight before we can actually make those substitutions. We do get the ball back there from a long clearance from the Troyes goalkeeper, and Giroud just on the ball here plays that back to Basaroge, who has an assist so far in this one. That's a lovely ball there from John Matthews, and Benjamin Rubio slots that away in the bottom left corner, and we are now 3-0 up here away from home, and we are looking already in a very strong position to be making our way through to the second knockout round of the Europa League at the start of next week. Some good controlling of possession there, and John Matthews, it's a very well weighted ball, that one. Just enough curve on it. Benjamin Rubio will slot that away. 3-0 Völsungur with just under a half hour left. And 10 minutes off the back of that third goal, we do have another highlight now with those substitutions being in place. And Karel Giroud puts a nice ball over the top there for Alejandro Meza. And a lot of space. Good chance there for Kalen Rakazan to pick up a goal. But a good save there at the near post. Keeps it at 3-0 for now, albeit not too long off the back of that. We do have a throw-in inside the final third. Meza will try and put this on the edge of the box. They do clear it there, do Troyes, but Matthews will get on the end of that, and we keep inside the opposition half here on the ball. Alejandro Meza, yet again, he is having one of his best games so far in a Völsungur shirt. In Europe, Zimmerman with the header just over the bar, and it will still be 3-0 with just under 20 minutes left. And up to the 77-minute mark, we are going to be taking off Alejandro Meza here. He has picked up a yellow card. We won't risk anything late in this one. Harwood to come on for him. Still 3-0 up with 10 minutes left. And now up to the 90-minute mark, we've got another yellow card out there now in Matthews. So that might be a little bit interesting come the latter stages of this Europa League. But Troyes were briefly on the attack there, but that ball had far too much depth on it. And Husavik is able to tidy things up for us. And can we extend this lead to 4-0? Going into the second leg in tomorrow's episode? We probably, even at this stage, might have already put this tie to bed. And there's a nice ball over the top there for Chaka Traore, but hits that straight at the goalkeeper, albeit we will still have a corner off the back of this, albeit we won't. And we now have a late highlight yet again. Maybe we will get one more chance here to extend the lead, but we are in a great position so far. 3-0 up, just coming up to halfway in this tie. Thought this might be just a little bit more competitive, this one, despite the fact that this Troyes team is quite an old one. Nice ball there for Benjamin Rubio. Can't quite get there, and the fact they were 5th in League 1 prior to this game, but we have absolutely outplayed them. It's been a really good performance away from home. Whatever we did in the preseason this season seems to have worked, as there's a free kick there on Andy Harwood, so we will get a free kick here late in this one. A nice short ball, and hopefully that will do it here away from home as Chaka Traore just sits on the ball. We do some short passing. It is actually going to be Troyes on the ball late, but as I said, that was a very comprehensive performance there away from home, and we are going to take a 3-0 lead into the second leg of this first knockout round tie in tomorrow's episode, and you'd like to think we can also win that game and help keep building up those coefficient points, which are very much needed if we want to stay where we are, let alone get a game, because at the moment we are, of course, on for that slight drop on the coefficient table, but that is a very encouraging start to our life in the Europa League knockouts for this season. A very solid 3-0 win going into the second leg in tomorrow's episode. And back in the inbox off the back of that one game in today's episode, as I said, we're going to be taking a very nice 3-0 lead back to the Laugardars of Ola for that second leg in tomorrow's episode. Benjamin Rubio getting the man of the match there with that 8.5 rating. We'll just go and check on the results from some of those other ties. Sporting are beating Feyenoord at the moment. Anderlecht with a 3-1 win over Zenit. Dortmund and Sassuolo, that's one of the more even ties so far. They are locked up at 1-1. Hertha Berlin 2-1 up over Monaco. Sevilla absolutely destroying Shakhtar, which is not too surprising considering that is a team which HK bet in a Champions League qualifier. Atletico Madrid coming home with an absolute wet sail late there to beat Rangers 4-0. Of course, us being up 3-0 and Nice are 4-2 up over Osijek. Those are ties which will finish up alongside our one in tomorrow's episode, and hopefully we can already start looking forward to who we might get in the second knockout round of the Europa League come the start of next week. But that will do it for today's episode. We'll come back tomorrow, play the second leg of this one, and we'll also have some incoming transfers, seeing as this transfer window here domestically is going to open up in only a few days' time. If you did enjoy today's episode with those transfers out, and of course that nice win there in the away leg of this first knockout round tie, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, please do consider hitting that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until tomorrow for the second leg of this tie, hopefully a draw for the second knockout round and some transfers in. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.